Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank KHL and the World Demolition Summit for the opportunity to present here today. And it is an honor to be in this room amongst some of the best demolition contractors in the world. Today, I would also like to take an opportunity to not only speak about this job, but to celebrate the incredible team at PDI. The individuals are what make it what it is today. We are pleased to have 23 people of the PDI team here with us today, and it's because of them that we're the proud members of the Heavy Civil Award for 2022 for this project. It's important to recognize that Waterfront Toronto is the owner of the redevelopment and that PDI was contracted by construction management company Ellis Don. As a point of reference, if I can show you, this is roughly where we're sitting today. This is the Keating Channel, which I'll be discussing later. This is the Don River, and this is the portion of the Gardner Expressway that was demolished. To give you a bit of a background, this portion of the Gardner was removed in order to improve Lakeshore Boulevard East. We had to rework the bridge and the Don roadway to allow the second installation of a river for better draining of the Don River. In heavy rain events, the Don River would flood local city streets as well as sections of the Portland's project. It was simply unsafe, and we had to fix it. Our scope of work included the relocation and removals of many electrical signals, traffic signs and signals, tree protection and removal, asphalt pavement, storm sewers, and manhole removals, the removal of all the concrete parapet, concrete deck, 268 steel girders, 18 bents, 3 steel bents, and 63 concrete footings and foundations. Please know that we'd only had 5 weekend closures to complete all this work. 90% of the work was completed in those 5 weekends, and Priestly logged over 9,000 hours in that time. The work performed under the contract consisted of demolishing 2 650-meter length sections of the Gardner Expressway in both directions, east and west. A total removal of 1,300 meters of 4-lane highway. 550 meters of this removal consisted of an elevated structure of 21 meters in height and gradually went down to a 3-meter height at the abutment. We also removed an additional 100 meters of roadway built on grade.
This one's about putting 10 of our biggest bridges together all in one weekend, and then maybe putting like a little bit of a supersize to it.
As soon as this project was awarded, we scheduled weekly meetings with our operations, engineering, logistics, and heavy equipment teams. The purpose was simple: to find the most cost-effective, safe, and efficient solutions for not only the demolition, but the potential scenarios and challenges that could arise due to the complexity of the project and the very tight timelines. Key considerations were safety, efficiency, and communication. We also wanted to ensure a minimal disruption to our regular projects every Monday to Friday. Logistically, we had to demob and remob all the equipment off active sites that were going on throughout the week, as equipment could also not stay on the Gardner Expressway project. Protection of the environmentally sensitive waterways. Approximately 140 meters of the eastbound lane was immediately adjacent to the Keating Channel. That flows directly into Lake Ontario. And also a 2-span bridge that crosses the Don River. Protection of the steel beam guardrail below the bridge was paramount. Underneath the elevated structure, along the entire length of the roadway in both directions, was the steel beam guardrail. It had to be left in place and protected for vehicles on the reopening Monday morning. This guardrail is important and was protected, but the timeline would not allow for us to remove or reinstate any of it with such tight timelines on the weekend. Also, Monday morning reopenings. Our contract required weekend-only closures, and therefore all debris had to be meticulously removed, the tops of standing structures cleaned, and all crew and equipment removed for the onslaught of 6 a.m. Monday morning traffic. This intersection is also one of the busiest in the city. We had to work around very many utilities above and below grade. We had above and below hydro, we had below grade fiber optic, we had above grade and below grade natural gas lines, as well as the Keating Channel Bridge, which imposed load restrictions when moving equipment and or cranes around the job site. Extensive engineering was required for this project. The most important element was the analysis of the bridge deck. We needed to understand what the loads were on that bridge deck and how much machine we could put on top before beginning the demolition. This was completed for each and every span. The bridge was constructed of steel plate girders, concrete deck, and supported at either end by concrete or steel bends. A combination of as-built drawings and three-dimensional scans were used to complete a 3D model. The 3D BIM model was the main tool for planning each and every phase of the demolition. It took our team 2.5 months to complete the engineering analysis and design the full demolition plan.
Well, for this job, as it's a huge job, we need to create a model with the highest level of detailing, which kind of brings a lot of efficiency to the project.
The main consideration is time. So it's a lot of bridge to demolish in a very short window. It's about pushing the limits and being safe doing so. The engineering department isn't finished until the demolition is done.
Weekend one. Weekend one, PDI worked over 3,400 hours with a focus on deck removal and focus on timing. The plan, prior to the first Friday closure, we were able to get a head start on the electrical relocation and removals, as well as begin grinding the asphalt off the bridge deck. We completed most of the 2,400 ton of asphalt grinding. By removing the asphalt first, and not mixing it with the concrete throughout the demolition process, we were able to assure 100% of the material was recycled. It was clear to the team that focus one was to break as much deck as possible. We picked a strategic spot in the deck. We picked a strategic spot in the deck right here above the Don roadway and began working in both directions. Using 4 crews, each equipped with 3 50-ton machines and attachments, we worked the deck in both directions, east and west. As soon as we got the green light, it was game on, and you could feel the adrenaline in the air. All our operators and crews were eager to get moving. The first night progressed very well, and as you would all understand, knocking it down is sometimes the easy part. Keeping the crew safe below the deck was our biggest challenge. We had similar-sized crews standing by to begin the cleanup process as soon as the concrete started to fall. Communication was paramount. We had direct radio contracts for each and every crew working above or below the crew as teams. On weekend one, we used 30 operators, 14 torchmen, 5 supers, 14 foremen, and 25 laborers. That's not to mention our countless health and safety, engineers, and of course all of our mobile mechanics to keep our equipment moving. We logged a total of 16 shifts, again, for more than 3,400 working hours. For equipment on weekend one, we had 35 pieces of equipment. We used 80 floats, tractor trailers to bring all that equipment in and out of the job, multiple rock trucks, loaders, tractor trailers, 12 50-ton machines, and the 4 machines we'll talk about after with the deflector shields. Our fleet logistics team moved more than the 35 pieces on the 80 loads prior to the job site and then took them all out again at the end of the weekend. We considered that a huge success. Evaluating the plan. With the goal of weekend one to expose as much steel as possible to get the cranes ready for weekend two, we knew we were on the right track. The engineering team looked for efficiencies, operations evaluated the plan, and then we started to plan for any potential or any unknown complications that may arise. We analyzed how the team performed during weekend one and made adjustments to the schedule to ensure that any issues didn't happen again. We considered the Labor Day weekend a complete success. Having teams of individuals willing to give up the last long weekend of the summer requires a loyal, dedicated group of team players. Although we did have challenges, the PDI team was able to mitigate and overcome them very quickly. A high level of production in weekend one allowed the team to really just worry about weekend two. Weekend two, we logged more than 2,000 working hours. While there's still some decking that needed to be removed, the focus for weekend two was on lifting down the countless steel girders. 2 300-ton cranes provided the heavy lifting for the torch crews. Aerial baskets were used to access all the demolition connections, and ground crews ensured that the steel hit the ground safely. Once on the ground, the girders were cut to length, loaded onto trailers, and transported to a laydown area for further processing. In total, we lifted down 1,500 ton of girders that weekend, while also processing concrete, rebar, and all associated demolition material. Our team's strategy was to run a smooth and safe operation that weekend. Hoisting and rigging day and night can be exhausting work. We needed to watch each other's back, and ultimately the team came together with the common goal and kept each other safe. As many of you know, innovative solutions in demolition can be the difference between success and failure. Speed and efficiency are always a challenge, especially when there's a need to protect a sensitive waterway, as well as a traffic control system below a bridge you're trying to demolish. After many, many hours of brainstorming ideas, the PDI team and a mechanical contractor came up with the concept of the deflector shield. This innovative solution was seen by over 2.5 million people on social media and went on to win a Construction Innovation Award for the Toronto Construction Association. How did we do it? We took modular, pre-constructed pieces, took them down to site, and created a 5 meter by 10 meter deflector shield. We mounted the pieces on two 20-ton and two 30-ton carriers, and then we could walk the machines into position over top of the guardrail or extend them out beyond the deck above to protect the waterway below. As an added benefit, most of the material ended up being funneled to the center of the roadway, allowing for a quick and efficient cleanup and load out. Weekend 3. During weekend 3, we worked 1,800 hours, further reducing crew sizes, but still running both day and night. With most of the girders out of the way, we shifted to removing the concrete bents. Multiple excavators, including our 100-ton Cabelco, began breaking down all the concrete that was exposed. As during previous weekends, a lot of time was spent on the logistics and coordination of loading out all the material and debris to staging areas for further processing. We had small crews who continued to remove steel bents west of the Don River, as this was a much more methodical process. We had to be very careful when staging our cranes with all the below-grade services as to not overload the ground. This was our third consecutive weekend of successful planning and execution, and is really due to the PDI team. The countless and tiresome hours put into this project show their commitment to our company, as well as their love for demolition. Weekends 4 and 5 saw a further reduction in crew size, but still logged over 1,500 hours. Our focus was completing all the below-grade removals, along with the backfill. While we were able to reduce crew sizes significantly, we still worked both day and nights to meet our production targets. Other completed items include repaving of a pedestrian bike path and a more permanent installation of the traffic control signals. Overall, this full project required 1.75 million liters of water for dust control and 12,500 liters of fuel to run all of our equipment. By the end of weekend 5, we'd removed 2,400 ton of asphalt, 2,500 ton of steel, and 1,500 ton of concrete decking. Key challenges on this project was definitely noise bylaw, not being allowed to break between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., pedestrian and waterway traffic, planning smooth, safe shift turnovers with the people coming in from different areas, all the equipment mobilizing in and out for Monday start or Friday finish, roadway reopenings on Monday mornings, always ensure that traffic would be safe to hit the roads, ongoing construction around the area, heavily congested part of Toronto with lots going on, the health and safety of the crew, especially during COVID protocol, and not to mention that the site was bound by many bridges with capacity issues that we had to be careful when bringing our machines in or out of the job site. Highlights: completing a job safely, on time, and on budget. Additional projects have been awarded from Ellis Don on the waterfront project due to our success with the bridge demolition. Our ability to shift and adapt and plan as required, taking care of our people with on-site food and beverage catering, as well as accommodations for anyone that had to stay in the city. PDI crew members were proud to be part of this rapid demolition project and volunteered to work the extra weekend shifts on top of the weekly Monday to Friday jobs. In order to keep regularly scheduled projects on track, on schedule, this weekend work was especially a challenge. Multiple generations of Priestleys working together, as well as other family workers, side by side on this project, created a strong sense of family, trust, and teamwork. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Julian, who's a Priestly family member. He also worked with us on all those long weekends. He's not in this photo, but he's here with us today, and we're proud of the work he did as well. To be part of the change and the evolution of Toronto City skyline will always be remembered as the experience of a lifetime. Thank you all for listening. It's an honor to be here with you today in our beautiful city, and thank you again to KHL and the WDA for hosting this incredible event. Thank you.